Number 3, make sure the school policies are being followed and review the following: the student behavior policy and the school website as resources.
Mm-hmm.
So the student behavior policy, that's that handbook you get in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to sign it?
You do have to sign it. Because if you don't, most time, well, in DC, it's a part of your enrollment. So everything has to be consented to before you enroll.
Got it.
And most parents sign it not understanding what it really is.
Okay.
Because it's a part of your enrollment package. In most places, it's just a part of your enrollment package.
Got it. So if there's something in there that I feel I don't agree with, or is targeting my child. Let's say I had a daughter and she had natural hair, and there's
Mm-hmm.
something in that policy that's loosely worded and could subjectively create an issue for her because she has natural hair. Um, if I don't agree with something, what are my recourses? Like, what can I do as a parent if I have to sign this document in order for my child to go to school?
You need to confront them about it, and you need to. At that point it becomes a legal issue. So you need to talk about the legal things that have been violated. You can't have policies that violate one demographic above another.
Right.
That's discrimination. So most times, if you bring that to their attention, they will make adjustments. And if they don't, you can always go to the NAACP or the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. They will advocate for students. I've been in situations where the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, has gotten involved and advocated for students and rules that they felt were discriminative.
Oh, that's good information because I didn't know that. And I needed
Hmm.
them like 2 years ago, 1 year ago.
But and the problem is a lot of things are created to put us out or to make us uncomfortable or to make us fit in. And so there are organizations and there are laws that are being broke within the process. But a lot of times, as parents or community members, we don't know that we know it doesn't feel right,
Right.
but we don't really know that there are people we can go to that can give us some type of feedback on it. I
Okay.
know the NAACP has an education or a component to it because I've contacted them. So you can contact them as a parent about some issues within education, and
Okay.
they'll give you some feedback, and they may even get involved.
Okay. Parents, we getting resources and we getting reference information. We getting ways that you can save your money because I couldn't save my money, but you're going to save your money, parents, mom and dad. So the school website was listed as another resource of knowing the school policies. So
Hmm.
um, when I go to the school website, I see the cheerleading team, the football team, the bake sale, the teachers. I don't see how am I supposed to dig a little deeper? Or maybe it's not deep. Maybe it's just on the surface and I'm just not paying attention to it to find out more about these policies and guidelines.
Every school district should have a code of conduct for students. And if it's not where you can access it, you should ask for it. Now, within that code of conduct, every teacher has a classroom management system that should also align to the code of conduct because most discipline is progressive. So if your child is talking out in class, I'm not justified in saying get out, go to the office, call your mom if you're talking in class.
Right.
It should be progressive. So when I call you, it shouldn't be an issue of, well, your kid got put out of class, because they kept talking out. And you're kind of like, well, that sounds stupid. But at the same time, if I said I've been speaking to him about this every day for the past 6 days and it's interrupting instruction, so I sent him to the office to call you because his behavior is keeping himself and others from learning, that's different.
Right.
That's
Okay.
progressive.
Okay.
So within that though, but before a student gets sent out of your class, there should be clear guidelines. So your school district should have a code of conduct. But within that code of conduct, you should also ask your teacher for their classroom behavior policy. Because
So
if a
every
teacher,
teacher is different. If my son's in the 10th grade, so his geometry teacher will have a management system
mhm,
that may be different than his social studies teacher.
right, and it could be, but most times in schools, it's kind of like school wide.
Okay.
So, like at my school, we use this online system, which is Class Dojo. And so, if you do something, you can earn points or you could lose points. But if you lose points, it's very specific and parents can connect to it.
Okay.
So, if you lose points, it's an app, and the parent will get a notification on the app saying he lost a point for not doing homework.
Okay.
So, those are ways you could really stay connected to what's happening in the classroom without always having to go up to the school or call someone. It's
Right.
as simple as having an app. Most schools have school-wide behavior policies within the class, but if they don't, you need to ask them, one, why don't they have a consistent policy? Because that's not beneficial to students to go, even like in 10th grade, to go to every class and there's something different.
Mm-hmm.
That students need consistency, adults need consistency. So you
Absolutely.
can have a schedule where you're changing classes every hour, every 45 minutes, and the rules are different. So most times it's consistent, and if it's not consistent, as a parent, parents should advocate for that
Ooh,
because that's another issue. You can't have kids going to a different place every 45 minutes or hour with different rules and expect them to pick up all those different rules and routines and the content that they need to learn.
I needed to hear this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I needed to hear this because it goes back to receiving the phone call
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that the behavior that is being described isn't your child, number one, the one that you see. But when they change classes and have three, four, five
Mm-hmm.
different instructors, and there's only one instructor that has an issue, but the other five don't, that's a red flag. And I
It
knew
sure
that.
is.
I knew
It
it, but
sure
I
is.
just didn't know how to fight that. I didn't know how to prove that in a way that didn't make it seem like I was just one of those moms that thinks my child does no wrong.
Well, it's kind of like going to the doctor. If you go to one doctor and they say something,
Right.
and you go and get a second opinion, and it's different, and so you go to a few doctors, and if three doctors are saying the same thing, and one has this extreme outlier, it's something wrong with that doctor, their perspective. It's something wrong with their environment, how they're looking at things. So a lot of times, it could have been the teacher's ability to manage a class.
Right.
And they didn't want to acknowledge you have poor classroom management. So instead, they put it on you as the parent, they put it on the child.
Got it. Well, you gave us some great information on that because, like I said, that was an exact incident that happened to me a few years ago, and I just did not have the words to communicate it or even understand how what to ask for. Like I had, if I had just simply asked for what is the disciplinary policy for
Hmm.
this particular teacher or for the teachers within this school or the teachers that my son goes to, and are you seeing it, this behavior isn't happening in this classroom, but it's happening in that classroom. Has this behavior happened before? And what is the um, discipline outline that you're supposed to follow instead of just sending them to the office,
Hmm.
or sending them home? Because sometimes the first offense is made to be so big or so grand that we have to just kick our kids out of the school, and there's no lead up or follow up to that, and you feel
Hmm.
blindsided because you didn't get, there was nothing, you got no information to lead up to that. So in that case, when that happens, what would you suggest um, using policy, going through the student behavior policy, going through the website, and you don't get a phone call saying, hey, Johnny had a bad day. You get a phone call saying, we have to send him home for 2 days or 3 days
Hmm.
because the offense was blah, blah, blah. But you never got any information on previous offenses that were documented. How do you
Well,
do?
first, let me say there is nothing wrong with a parent questioning a teacher's credentials or ability to perform their job. Because I could be a great teacher in one school and go to another school with a different demographic and not be a great teacher because those aren't the same students.
Right.
And most times it's presented as though, it's not it's presented as though it's bad to ask a teacher, well, could it be your classroom management? Because realistically, if you're having this problem in one class out of four, it's the teacher. So
Yeah.
then you need to, aside from speaking with the administration, then you ask your child, why is that teacher so different?
Hmm.
What's happening in this class that's not happening in those other classes? And most times, children will be honest. They'll tell you.
Right.
And that's a problem that we have because it goes back to parents don't know the power they have. You can question a teacher's classroom management.
And it also goes back to what you said in number one is not giving away your child's power and valuing
Hmm.
what they say and what their experience is inside of their day with all of their teachers. Like, what does your day to day look like, and what issues are you having, and how does that make you feel? So it goes back to number one.
Right. And most times, if you're changing classes, the students are different and the behaviors may be different, and the teachers' expectations and their classroom management may be different.
Oh,
And so, if you have that problem, it's kind of like looking at data. If this is happening in one situation out of four, it's not anything wrong with the person. It's something wrong with the situation that needs to be adjusted. So that's an adjustment that needs to be made within that environment and with that teacher. And most times, I myself want parents to advocate in situations like that,
mhm.
and they are very apprehensive to do so.
Yeah, because we feel like it's out of our lane, and we don't have the words or the language to ask for certain things, and and we want to trust the school. Like, honestly and truly, to
Right,
be
you
honest,
do.
we really
Um,
trust the school. So I get that side of it. I also get the other side of it where I ask for everything I need. I write it down. I write it down twice. I email it back to you because I need you to confirm it via email for my files. I need everything. I don't have a
mhm.
problem questioning um, anybody anymore, because I have a teacher for 1 year with my son, but my son has to live a lifetime. I'm growing a
Mhm.
child into an adult. And so, in order for me to give him all of the things he needs, I'm very, very strong about asking for the things that I want. And I'm not opposed to asking for another teacher, but um, that doesn't all that doesn't always work because of just logistics with the school system in general. Um, Sometimes it can happen, sometimes it can't. It just depends. So I get that too. Um,
Well, one thing I will say is that as a parent, you have to remember you are not a slave to the school system. And a lot of
Ooh, that's
times,
strong. You so strong tonight, Mr. Martin. You so strong.
because a lot of times it does become another system of oppression. It does become another system that takes away your voice because they come at you, they give you laws, they give you policies. And as a person, as a citizen not in education, you're not quite sure how to navigate that. But they work for you. And we have to remember that if we didn't have children, these places would not exist. So that goes
Wow.
back to we are supposed to be served. They're supposed to serve us. They need to meet our needs. And I mean, we can't be overbearing and asking for
Right.
unreasonable things, but at the same time, you do not have to be a slave to what they say or what they go. Because I know how it is. I've seen parents in those situations, and I've had to advocate for them. And I'm disliked at a lot of places because of that. I've had to advocate for things and help parents write letters and
Mm-hmm.
emails, but that's what we're for. This is a community organization that is funded by the public. It doesn't matter whether you're in public school, charter school, all of them are being benefiting from public money. So they work for you.
Okay, now okay. Now that leads me to go to number 4.